The stock of the day, or the stock of the month, so to speak, really has been Britannia. The way markets have really responded to the numbers and the fact that stock has been a massive outperformer, it just tells you that markets and shareholders are convinced that both demand and the company is headed in the right direction. So it gives me great pleasure now to welcome on board Mr. Varun Berry of Britannia. Varun, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Hope all is fine at your end. Things are safe with your family and with employees of Britannia.
Everything's well. I hope everything's safe with you as well, and the ET family.
Well, thank you very much. Let's start with that zing in your voice. I'm sure you are surprised and you're very happy with the numbers and the commentary you've given. You've blown the markets away with the volume growth. Where has this volume growth come from?
Well, if you're talking about the COVID disclosures that we made for the last 2 months, yes, we've seen some very solid volume growth. So, what's happening is that, interestingly, consumer behavior is changing quite dramatically. So, human beings don't stop consuming food. When in normal circumstances, there is street food, people eat in restaurants, people go to malls and they have snacks there, etc. In these circumstances, it's home consumption most of the day. So that obviously is helping us. We're a home consumption product and that helps us. Second phenomena that happens in a crisis is that people go back to the most trusted brand. And Britannia, being the most trusted food brand in India, has also been one of the factors that people have come to us during this crisis. So those are the two big reasons to my mind whereby we are seeing a bump in our volumes. But besides that, the third thing is that I think as a team, we did a fantastic job of getting off the block. Making sure that we sorted out all our back-end issues. We got our plants operating. We got stocks in the market. I think we were first off the block. And, the coordination, the way the team coordinated this and we operated during this crisis is phenomenal. There is so much that I've learned from this operation. It was all about collaboration. It was all about connectivity. It was all about communication because it was important to keep people involved in what we were doing and where we were going. So I think that worked brilliantly, and people just did a fantastic job of, getting us off the block and getting our products in the market. While I must say that it wasn't as organized a distribution as we would have liked it to be. But, finally it was a crisis and we are happy that we were able to do what we were able to do.
Are you back to normal production stroke capacity utilization level across board in your all India plants?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, what we did was that we, did an exercise on rationalization. So we, because it was important to get more, volume out of the door. So we, applied the 80-20 rule to our portfolio, and we said that it's important that the most trusted brands get their time in the sun. So we, focused on the 20% of the brands that give us, or SKUs that give us 80% of the volumes. And as a result of that, our productivity went up dramatically. Our efficiencies and productivities went up dramatically during this time. So today we are operating at more than 100% capacity. And, while it's important for us to bring a variety back to the market, and we are planning to do it as we speak, but during this period, it was very important to make sure that we got the bulk of the SKUs and the brands which are most important for consumers to be in the market.
Everyone is curious surprised, and shareholders, I'm sure, delighted with the 28% growth what you've reported for the month of May. How much of that, in your assessment, is largely a function of pantry restocking in household, work at home, forced consumption of biscuits and bakery and milk products to go higher? What I'm trying to understand from you, Mr. Berry, is that you've started the year with a bang. How much of the momentum which you've gained in the COVID or the post-COVID world is real and is here to stay? And how much will you lose as economies will normalize?
So whatever advantage that we've gotten from a share perspective, from being the first movers, I think that's going to stay with us. It's very difficult, Nikunj. Believe me, there's no computer in this world which can forecast where this world is going under these circumstances. So, it's very important that you watch consumer trends, consumer behaviors very, very carefully every day, and then tweak your strategy as you move forward. I do think, what I told you earlier, Nikunj, is very important. Human beings don't consume less or more food, right, as a whole. So we are taking share from some street food that consumers were consuming. There were other occasions where they were consuming food outside of home. And that's the kind of share that we are taking. Now, is that going to stay or is that going to go away as a full unlock happens to the country? Is yet to be seen. But I do think that something will stay with us as we move forward.
Could you walk us through where the market share gains have been bigger? When I say market share gains have been bigger, I'm trying to understand that have you gained more in the high premium category or you've really gained at the lower end of the pyramid?
So, Nikunj, we don't have any share data at this point in time because, as you can imagine, even Nielsen and the agencies have not been able to do too much work in the field during this period. But our estimates, our feeling is that our pillar brands are where we are seeing share growth. So it will be the Good Days, the Marigold, and Milk Bikis where we could have seen share gains. The growths have been uniform across the country. So, it's not like one region growing much faster than the other. So that's the good part. It's been all across. There have been some areas where we still have some manufacturing issues where the growths have been maybe 400 basis points, 500 basis points lower. But overall, it's fairly uniform, and it seems like an all-India phenomenon.
Right. What has been your biggest understanding of consumer behavior? Because, Mr. Berry, I'm getting a variety of indications from just about every consumer or consumer durable and consumer discretionary company. Again, I go back to that same point that what you were telling me the minute I read your commentary, I put in my internal WhatsApp group with seniors to showcase that not everything on the consumer demand is bad. So what has been your biggest learning and how do you think consumer patterns will change because of this COVID crisis?
So, I think first of all, it's a very interesting phenomena which has been uniform across the globe. This is probably the first time that every country, every market in the world has been under the same kind of attack. The attack is not from an entity, right? There is no entity which is attacking us. It's Mother Nature, which is reacting to probably the kind of atrocities that it's gone through by mankind, right? So it's important that we understand that we'll have to, the strongest or the smartest is not going to win this crisis. The most adaptive is going to win this crisis. And it's very important that we adapt to it every minute. And that's something that we've internalized as an organization. What we are saying is that today's consumer behavior can be very different from what it's going to be tomorrow. But for sure, there are certain things which are there for the long term. I think hygiene, making sure that there is sanitization, there is health, all of that is going to become important, which is very good for a country like India, because I must say that we used to throw a caution to the winds as far as these things were concerned. So I think that is a trend for the long term. I think secondly, it's consumers are going to start to, at least during this period, start to look at packaged foods to be a much better bet than products which are not packaged, because of the hygiene, because of the sanitization that goes into our plants, etc. So that is a trend which is going to stay. Home consumption products, trusted brands are going to get a boost out of this. And I do think that consumers will start to, take decisions on products based on a family decision, the housewife making a decision. Today, we can see a lot more husbands, a lot more children who are taking decisions because it's all online. Digital is the new reality, whether it's shopping or it's consumption of media. It's new reality. And a friend of mine who works in, one of the newspaper organizations was telling me that the print has become 1/4 of what it used to be. So clearly, digital is the trend which is going to be there to stay, and it's going to be something that is going to be a force to reckon with. I think supply chains are going to get shortened. It's going to be very important to make sure that every business, every country becomes self-sufficient, and hence shortened supply chains are going to become a reality. So those are the things that are emerging as of today. But I'll tell you, there will be a lot more emerging as we go through this phase. I think this phase is going to last for at least a year. And we'll have to read these very, very carefully and make sure that we tweak our strategy, in a way that it takes us to where we want to be. What we are trying to do is we are trying to make, this crisis an opportunity for ourselves to really become more efficient. Frankly, we are learning so much. If you were to look at our business today, we've been working so hard. I'm just giving you one example. We've been working so hard to reduce our distance to market for our products. We've brought it down from 650 kilometers to 370 kilometers in 7-8 years. And during this period, from 370 kilometers, it's dropped to 280 kilometers. So in one shot, we've been able to reduce it by almost 90 kilometers. Now that might not stay because, as variety happens, distances will go up. But, these are the kind of opportunities that we are looking at. And we realize that, whatever we've got from a cost savings perspective in all these years, there is so much more to be got. And so we are making this crisis into an opportunity. We are trying to get more efficiencies out of it. We are trying to make sure that we streamline our business and take it to a completely new level.
You spoke about supply chain. Now, it's clear to understand that a lot of purchasing now will shift from walk-in stores to online. The Kirana wala may have got a bump up right now, but eventually that edge, once the lockdown normalizes, may go away. So assuming that you would be selling more online, how will your distribution strategy change? How will your margins and the commissions which you share with your distributors, wholesalers and retailers change? Is there going to be one big reboot for a company like Britannia because of this entire change?
What you've got to realize is that, the base of the pyramid as far as distribution is concerned is very, very large, right? So we are talking about companies distributing. There are some companies which get to, let's say 14 million outlets, right? We are not there, our category doesn't get to those many outlets, but we also get to 5.5 million outlets. Now, while e-commerce has been growing exponentially, right? We've seen during this period, we've seen a 300% growth. But with that 300% growth, we are just about getting to a percentage of our sales. So yes, it will grow. Maybe in times to come, it will go from 1% to 2% to 3% to 5%. But the reality is that there still will be this huge base of the pyramid, which you'll have to, make sure that you keep servicing, right? So I don't think distribution strategies are going to change in a hurry. I do think that it'll remain to be a situation where you will have to service the kirana because they are so entrepreneurial in their way they operate. They service their own markets wherever they are in a way e-commerce would, let's say, in a large city, right? It's all on the phone, etc. So these entrepreneurial guys are going to remain as long as they have the infrastructure, they have the servicing from companies like us. They will exist and they will thrive. So I don't think we are looking at a huge change in our philosophy as far as distribution is concerned. And the fact is that for us, where we have such strong brands with so much pull, it's easiest for us to say that we will take the route of a pull strategy versus a push strategy. But I'll tell you that can be disastrous. We some 8-10 years back, we somehow in a modified way went towards that, and that impacted us very badly. We are not looking at doing that in a hurry. We will continue to have our distribution to direct distribution to 2.5 odd million retailers. We will continue to make sure that we service 5.5, including our wholesalers. That strategy will continue. Yes, we will have disproportionate focus on modern trade, on e-commerce, on alternate channels, etc. And we will make sure that we nurture them as we go forward. But the base strategy will not change.
Lot of FMCG companies have decided to cut down the freebies and the channel discounts which were there. I would imagine Britannia would have done the same. Is that a significant cost-saving lever for Britannia and for the FMCG sector for the foreseeable future, that now discounts are getting normalized?
Yes, I would think so. What we've done is we've cut out, because it was an issue of availability more than anything else. So we did cut out a lot of costs from our sales and marketing system. And I think a lot of other companies would have done the same. See, what happens is, frankly, if you ask me, all of the push money that we spend, some of it is necessary, but 50% of that is just to, for a comparative reason. The day everyone realizes that it's not about pushing one versus the other. It's about just making sure that your execution is good, your brands are strong, and you do what is necessary, from a perspective of the market. I think there'll be a lot of savings coming to any industry. I do think there'll be learnings from this. I do think, and I do hope that companies will take a leaf out of this crisis and start to taper down all the extraneous spends. We've certainly done it, and we are looking forward to continuing that as we go.
So, if I have to address the current environment and opportunity for Britannia, Mr. Berry, please correct me if my interpretation is wrong. I'm getting a sense from you that you're not in a sweet spot, but you're in a golden spot. You gained market share, your discounts are getting normalized, inflation has got crushed, so raw material prices will be low, and then on the cost front, you will cut on ad spends. That's the necessity, and you will be able to protect your margins. So looks like you are in a golden spot, sir.
Well, I would agree with you, but I would not agree with the fact that we will cut our ad spends. We have cut our ad spends till now, but as you know, as sufficiency of products starts to happen, as brands get to the normal days of stock that we hold in our system, we will start to get back as far as advertising is concerned. So, in fact, this month we will, get back to advertising for some of our brands where we've got enough product, etc. So that's something which is temporary. I would not say that that is a long-term phenomenon. Obviously, we want to nurture and build our brands for the future. We might change our strategy. Actually, at this point in time, it seems that everyone's sitting at home and watching television. So it is probably the right time to advertise if you've got products. So because you have everyone's eyes to watch you and to imbibe you. So we will start doing that. But the rest of the things I agree with what you're saying.
Would you be investing in creating new brands, new product launches? Would you be investing aggressively right now so that in categories where you don't have a dominant market share, you can gain right now?
We will, but you've got to understand that we have a labor issue even till now. Migrant workers have gone back, and there are certain plants. So we are operating with a lower number of workers in every factory. And with that, prioritization becomes important. And hence, we are staying away from innovation. But as I said, as we get to sufficiency, we will start to unleash some of our innovation products, some of our categories where we've been silent for a long period. And hopefully, that will start to happen in the next 15 days to a month. But we will be careful. We will not load the pipe with too many initiatives at this point in time. It will be one at a time so that it can be focused by our field force as well as by all our people in terms of the back end.
On the margin front, are you on the cusp of an operating leverage? Because if market share gain is happening, inflation is coming under pressure, automation has kicked in. So are you in that operating leverage cusp where now there could be a disproportionate jump in margins? I mean, I'm simply putting maths together here, sir. That's how companies work.
Well, at this point in time, yes, and you've seen it in our last quarter results. We did, even our operating margin went up. But, you've got to look at how it's going to be, sustainable over a period of time. Yes, we will unearth all opportunities and we will try and see how we make our business even more efficient as we go forward. But, the long term, it has to be seen and we have to start to craft out what is necessary to get it.
So, TCS once famously told me that we would like to maintain a band of our margins, irrespective of the good environment or bad environment, which is when going is good, they invest more. When going is bad, they stop investing. Is there a band you would like to maintain? I mean, let's say a ballpark band for Britannia now?
No, so we are in that band. If you think about it, we are in the band. We moved our margins from operating margins from 4% 7-8 years ago to 15% and thereabouts. So we would certainly want to progress. Progress could be high at this point in time, these kind of times, but it will remain in that ballpark because the Indian entrepreneurs, if the margins go beyond, just go over the top, then it becomes easy meat for a lot of other people to come in. Yes, there will be progress on what we've been doing, and we have been doing continuous progress, and we will hopefully continue that. But it's not going to be that a 15% margin go to a 20% in a hurry. Slowly, steadily, we will progress and try and move our margin.
Okay, I'm going to take the clock back and I'm going to divide, while we are dividing the world into pre-COVID and post-COVID, let me divide the Britannia journey into pre-Varun Berry and post-Varun Berry. The team was the same, but margins were different, growth was different, it was not part of Nifty 50. Today, Britannia is one of the most elite company commanding best of the P multiples globally. Why everything has happened ever since you took the charge?
This is a very difficult question, and I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to answer this question. So please forgive me. We've just tried to do what we could to make the business efficient. And I think we've been reasonably successful with what we've done. I don't want to go back into history and talk about what there, etc. So our objective is to look forward and not look backward.
So what would you say is the hallmark of the Varun Berry era for Britannia? I mean, all leaders, they have a different strategy. Some are good, some are bad. They try to do their best. Sometimes you get the right results, sometimes you don't get the right results. What would you say is the hallmark of the Varun Berry era for Britannia? Because you made a meaningful impact, sir. Let's be clear.
I think it's, I just like to keep things simple. I don't complicate matters. Every meeting, there has to be an agenda, and at the end of the meeting, there has to be a decision. There are times when I've gone wrong. There will be debates within the team, but at the end of that, if there is a debate which is not going anywhere, I have to take a decision. And I do take that decision. And I've seen many leaders who are not able to do that. That decision could be right or wrong, but it's important that one understands that if it's wrong, then you correct it for the future. Adapt and make sure that you correct it for the future. That's the important thing for me. The team has to come together. The team has to feel that they are important for the business. And I must say that I have today a very young and a very dynamic team, which has done me proud. They've done a fantastic job of whatever they are doing, whichever function they are in. So that's what I do. Basically, I think, and sometimes I look back and think, is business very difficult? And frankly, it's not. As long as you are moving in the right direction, you have your heart in the right place, you have the right priorities in front of you, and you're making decisions and adapting to your wrong decisions as you go forward, I think business will only progress.
I'm going to wrap up today's conversation in a very engaging conversation. Thank you for being so candid, and thank you for really walking us through all the minute details one by one. What has been the most joyful moment, the most disturbing moment, the biggest learning moment for Varun Berry as a person, not as someone who runs Britannia during the COVID crisis? When was the day you got up and say, okay, oh gosh, all is over? When was the day you got up and say, okay, this is a new beginning? Can you elaborate on your COVID learnings for us?
Well, when the lockdown happened, that was the moment where I really felt that how are we going to cope with it? It wasn't an easy situation. There were employees who were not in their hometowns, who were traveling, they were caught there, they could come back. There were plants which were locked out, there was no production. There were workers who, obviously there were some migrant workers who were stuck. Some workers who were coming from, adjoining districts who were stuck there. So the thought was, how are we going to manage this? First, the business. Second, how are the people in the Britannia family going to manage this? How are they going to cope? And so that was the moment. But after that, we did a really good job of making sure that we got off to a flying start. Now, the moments of pleasure, frankly, were many. Just to quote a few, let me start from the back end where we are, procuring products. One of our employees went from Rajasthan to Uttaranchal, right? And everything is locked down. Imagine. He went from Rajasthan to Uttaranchal to buy wheat, right? And he rode trucks. He went into trucks. He would take a lift and, ride to the next point, then take another lift, etc. I don't know whether that is necessary to do, but that was the kind of passion that he had. He went to Uttaranchal to buy wheat. He was able to accomplish that. In fact, when he reached Uttaranchal, there was some paperwork required, which he, which was, it wasn't ready. And he had to stay in the premises of one of our wheat suppliers for a week, right? So those were the kind of, that was, from a procurement standpoint. From a factory standpoint, in our factory in Gujarat, we have a factory in Jhagadia, and I'm just giving you one example. There are hundreds of examples like this. The factory manager, the production manager, all of them, they were not getting workers to come and work in the factory. So they went to all the adjoining villages. They invited all the sarpanches from these villages to the factory to show them what kind of standard operating practices that they had on safety, hygiene, because these villages were not allowing workers to come because they thought that if workers went, they would come back with COVID and they would infect the entire village, right? So they invited them, they brought them in, they showed them what the standard operating practices were, and finally got workers to come to run the factory, right? Marketing people who were at home, and obviously there was no marketing happening at that point in time, they got together and they did a survey with almost 1,000 retailers and distributors. They started to call them on a daily basis to check on whether they were getting stocks, what was in stock, what was not in stock, etc. And they were presenting it to me every 3 days on what was the status in which city, right? And similarly, the sales guys, there were sales guys who walked kilometers to get to the distributor point. There were sales guys who, took stocks on their motorcycles or in their cars to deliver it to retailers, right? So that was the kind of passion, and that was a complete pleasure to see. There were contract packers who did such a wonderful job. There were distributors who were going out of their way to make sure that, if Britannia was doing what they were to get them stocks, they exceeded that and they would get the stock to the customers in the market. So all that, we were able to create a wave which was a beautiful, view from where I was. And I'm really proud of it.
Also fascinating to hear that, these are the most under noticed and talked about stories which have really made all the difference and have ensured that, we stay united and, we stay committed to fighting this COVID crisis. Appreciate your time, Mr. Berry. Thank you very much. Stay safe and congratulations on great set of numbers. You'll be happy to know that the stock is at 3,600 and markets and shareholders are pretty delighted with what you've declared and what you've indicated.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's take a break. Britannia, stock of the day, 3,600, up 157 rupees. And that's what markets are doing, disproportionately rewarding where numbers are good.